Welcome to This Kahani Ka Sar. I absolutely love uncovering stories that really make you think. And today is, well, it's something truly special. We're going to be unpacking the life of Diru, a poor orphan's laborer. We're going to dive into some incredibly deep but beautiful themes here: karma, poverty, and destiny. As you'll see, it's just fascinating how these three are completely intertwined and how one person's inherent nature can literally dictate the entire course of their life. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to ask yourself a question and really think about it. Can a simple, everyday act of kindness, right in the middle of a pouring rainstorm, completely rewrite your destiny? Like if you were at absolute rock bottom, struggling to survive yourself, would you still stop to help a total stranger? This sets up the whole emotional and moral journey for Diru that we're about to explore. Section 1. The Rain of Hardships. We open our story on the harsh reality of an endless, brutal week of torrential rain that has literally brought Diru and his wife Kajri's lives to a grinding halt. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast we're dealing with. On one side, you've got these incredibly cold, cruel villagers. They actively mock Diru, calling him a jinx simply because he's an orphan with no family. But on the other side, you have Diru's heart. He just endures the abuse. He doesn't lash out. He remains remarkably pure, kind, and hopeful. It's a huge testament to his character. Let's look at the sheer suffocating pressure mounting on this guy. It's an endless week of heavy rain. We're talking damp walls, a leaking roof, just total misery. And then comes the truly heartbreaking moment. Diru brings home his hard-earned daily wages, only to have the money completely destroyed by the water leaking from his roof. It's gone. Plus, he's mocked daily at his job at Tucker Durjan Pratap's warehouse. It's enough to break anyone. Section 2. Welcoming the strangers. Now, the tone completely shifts here. Right in the middle of all this heavy despair, we meet the true catalysts of our story. Two stranded strangers, Raman and Janaki, who suddenly show up in the storm. Let's move to and see how this builds, because the timeline is wild. Day 1, Diru is just endlessly working in the rain. Then he makes this incredibly fateful, selfless choice to shelter these stranded strangers. And right after that, he accidentally drops a grain sack and loses his job. It's a rapid, massive escalation right before disaster strikes. This brings us to a beautiful concept: Atiti Devo Bhava. It's the profound belief that a guest is literally equivalent to God. You truly see it when you share what little you have. Diru and Kajri, despite basically starving themselves, prepare an amazing feast for these strangers. It's pure, selfless hospitality. And honestly, it kind of makes you wonder who these guests actually are, doesn't it? Section 3. The Landlord's Cruel Ultimatum. Things take a massive downward turn here. Diru, who is weak and feverish from working in that relentless rain, makes a mistake and accidentally drops a sack of grain into the water. So the crucial point is the sheer unbelievable injustice of what happens next. The cruel landlord, Thakur, doesn't just demand he replace the one ruined sack. No way! He demands 3 full sacks as restitution. It's an impossible penalty for a guy who literally has nothing to his name. Diru hits absolute rock bottom here. He's fired, he's totally humiliated, and he is drowning in this impossible debt to the Thakur. He goes home in tears, telling Kadri that they're completely doomed. But there's a catch. Janaki is in the next room, and she secretly listens to his entire heartbreaking breakdown. Section 4. A wealthy secret revealed. Okay, the tension is peaking, but the narrative is about to completely pivot from utter despair to a massive, surprising karmic reward. Boom! The jaw-dropping twist. Raman steps up and says, "I am a renowned city merchant. I have no shortage of wealth, property, or land." These so-called helpless guests are actually incredibly wealthy. And without skipping a beat, they instantly offer to pay off Diru's unfair debt. But why the disguise, right? Well, they were wealthy in money but incredibly poor in relationships. They hid their true status because they were terrified of fake affection. They wanted real connection, not people just using them for their money. It ties right back to that core theme of genuine human connection. Section 5. Brothers reunited by destiny. Now we're moving into the final emotional knockout punch of the story, right as Raman is getting ready to leave for the city and offers Diru a business partnership. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the universe was pulling the strings all along. To say thank you, Kadri gives Daru a new kurta to wear. When he changes into it, it exposes a lifelong birthmark on his neck. Just a tiny detail, but it changes everything.
This is the emotional climax. Raman sees it and literally shouts, "You are my brother. Look, I have the exact same mark on my neck. My mother told me I had a brother who was lost." Mind-blowing, right? Those matching birthmarks prove they are long-lost brothers. Suddenly, that instant, unspoken bond they felt when they first met in the rain makes total sense.
The resolution is just incredibly satisfying. First, Dhiru marches back and literally throws the money right in Tucker's face. Then, the two brothers team up and run this massive city business together. And the absolute best part? Dhiru, the guy they mocked as an orphan jinx, rises up to become far wealthier and more respected than that cruel Tucker ever was. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. What really did it? Was it the endless rain that trapped him there? Was it the matching birthmark? Or was it simply Dhiru's unwavering, pure good karma that ultimately saved his family? It really makes you think about the true power of kindness, morality, and destiny. Thanks so much for joining me on this Kahanika Sar, and I genuinely hope it gave you something incredible to think about today.